Hiya, so tonight's recipe is Turkish lamb stew. So don't forget your hygiene, we're going to do that first. Just to remind you, the recipe is now found underneath the YouTube clip. So hair, long hair up, wash hands. If you've got an apron, pinny, put it on, and if you've got gel nails, if you've got some gloves, I tend to wear gloves. Okay, so if you've got a slow cooker, I would probably cook my meat in the slow cooker. In fact, I have. That's exactly what I've been doing all day. I've put this on in the morning. It's been cooking for about 6 to 7 hours. And those of you that have a slow cooker know that meat in the slow cooker tastes amazing. So I've done mine in my slow cooker, but I know that not everyone's got. Let's have a look at that. Yum, smells amazing. But those of you that don't have a slow cooker, I'm going to show you how you can do it using diced lamb, which is what I'm using, but you can also use minced lamb, because I know that lamb is quite expensive for some people. And if you'd rather, I've not tried it with beef mince, but I reckon it would probably work well with beef mince as well. Right, the first thing you need to do is chop the ends off your onions, like so. And then you're going to peel your onion. So I would peel kind of the outer layer off. And then we're going to cut the onion this way, first of all into half. So again, you're making a bit of a bridge with your hand to hold it together. Hold it at the side and then you cut in the middle. We're going to cut that into quarters. We're going to put 3/4 of the onion to one side and we're going to chop this up into small bits. So I'm just going to chop all the way down. So turn it to the side and then just do your best to try and chop that into small pieces. Just keep taking your fingers back away from the blade every time you chop, and just take your time. Let's not have any cut fingers or blood. There we go. And we're going to, when we've done chopping that, we're going to put that in the bowl. Okay, so as normal, we're going to use some garlic. This has come out quite a lot recently. I know that some of you will probably want to use fresh garlic, and at some point I am going to use some fresh garlic and I'm going to show you a nice easy way to cut it up. But those of you that cook a lot probably know that if you are using fresh garlic, make sure you peel, and you can actually squash it using the side of your knife like that. And that's one way to crush your garlic, and then it's a lot easier to slice up. So we're now going to cook the lamb, and you're going to, if you've got lamb mince, you would be cooking the lamb mince, breaking it up, just as I've showed you in the other videos, and cooking that through until browned. I'm using diced lamb, so we're going to fry that. There doesn't seem to be a lot because remember I've cooked mine in my slow cooker, so I'm just sort of using a bit of it to show you what to do. So we're going to cook that. Oh, I forgot my oil. There we go. Obviously put your oil in first, I forgot to do that. There we go. Put that to one side and just add a bit more oil. There we are. No harm done. And we're going to also add our onion quarters in there. They will start to break up as they cook through, so we're just going to leave that for a little minute. So my lamb is browned through, so I'm going to turn the heat right down, and I'm just going to let that kind of cook for another few minutes just to get all the onions brown. There's still a couple that's stuck together, so what you may have to do, very gently, just make sure you try not to burn yourself. There we go, that's really easily come apart. So there might be a couple of those that you need to take apart. If you think you might burn yourself, then obviously ask one of your parents to help you or one of your guardians. So while your lamb is on a low heat and just sizzling away, crumble your beef stock cube into your jug. Obviously put your kettle on as well to boil up. And what we're going to do then is put about 300 ml of boiling water in there and dissolve the stock cube. You might need a little bit more, maybe 400 millilitres if you're cooking for quite a few of you. This is for 2 to 3 people, I think, but it all depends on how greedy you are. So we're going to add our stock. Remember, it's still on quite a low heat there, and I reckon probably just over half of the tin might be enough of the tomatoes. If you want it a bit more tomatoey, then I guess you can put some more in. There we go, kind of gone with a bit more than half there, I'd say. I'm going to mix that up. And then we're going to put our spices in. So we've got harissa. So rather than weighing it out, I mean, you can see how much I'm kind of putting in. I reckon about a teaspoon full would do. That's probably enough. If you like it a little bit more spicy, which we do, we're going to put a bit more in. But I reckon that will do. That's your harissa. And I'm not really sure how to pronounce this. Ras el hanout. Oh, there we go. And again, probably about a teaspoon, tablespoonish kind of amount. Chuck that in. And we're going to mix that up. And then just turn it onto a high heat and just let it bubble for a minute. So I've added all of my lamb from the slow cooker. Obviously if you are using just the frying pan, then it'll all be in there anyway. Just bubbling it up for a minute or so. Okay, so now just pour it into an oven-proof dish. Put all of that in there. If you've got a cover, then use a cover. I haven't, so I'm just going to put some foil on the top, and that needs to be left in the oven for roughly 40 minutes. And I think I'm going to put it on, I've got a fan oven, so it'll be about 190 degrees for 40 minutes. That should enable the sauce to thicken up a little bit. So after you've put your lamb stew in the oven, you're going to measure out about 15 millilitres of red wine vinegar. I think you can use white wine vinegar if you've got that as an alternative, possibly even a balsamic vinegar as well. This is actually a 15 ml measuring spoon, so there you go. If you want to add a bit more, you can do. I'm going to just add a tiny bit more. There we go. And then we're just going to leave that to pickle while the lamb stew is cooking in the oven for 40 minutes. So there's now about 5 minutes before the lamb stew comes out of the oven. So I'm going to pop in the naan breads. I've got 2 naan. You can use any naan bread that you want, so you can get plain naan. We've got coriander and garlic ones. You just have to sprinkle a little bit of water on them like that. And then we can place them in the oven for about 3 to 4 minutes just to warm up. So put them directly onto the shelf there. Just be careful of your fingers. And leave that for about 3 or 4 minutes, and the lamb stew should be ready at the same time. So I'm just getting the the finishing touches ready for when it comes out of the oven. So me and my husband are going to share some yoghurt that you can put on the top of it. It says about 100 grams. I'd say that's about 100 grams. Reckon that's enough? Yeah, one more dollop for good measure, because I like a lot of yoghurt on there. And so we're going to save that. And also I'm going to get about a teaspoon full of dill. Come on out. That'll do. No, a bit more. And about a teaspoon of parsley as well. And we're just going to mix that together. That's going to be our garnish. And as per normal, you can use fresh if you'd rather use fresh. They're a bit more expensive. These are nice and cheap. So give that a bit of a mix. And I'm going to sprinkle that over the stew when it's on the plate. One thing I did forget earlier was to add my garlic. So I'm just going to, because I'm using paste, I can just mix that in when it comes out.
Go.
Okay, so we're taking the stew out and just leave them back in there to warm up. Just gently take that off. And that looks like it has, it's still a little bit watery, so I'm going to show you a bit of a trick that you can do. So if you've got a sauce that's a little bit runny and you want to thicken it up a little bit, you can use corn flour. So I've got a bit of corn flour in there. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water. You don't need a lot. Mix it up. It's a really strange substance because it'll kind of go really like powdery, but then it'll start to drip. It's a bit of a weird substance. Just going to add a tiny bit more water. And what I'm going to do is add this to this. I'm going to mix it all up, and that should help to thicken it up a little bit. So that has actually worked, thankfully. And I'm just going to add a little bit of garlic there. I'm going to mix that in, and then I'm going to plate up. So I'm just plating up right now. I'd say that's half of that. Okay, so your naan breads are probably ready now. So take out your naan breads from the oven. They're nice and soft still. That's how they should be. And just top with the pickled onion. I reckon I've got probably about 3 spoons of it. And then as much yoghurt as you want. So I'm going to put mine as a bit of a side serving. And then finally you get your dill and parsley mixture and sprinkle over the top. And there you go, Turkish lamb stew. Enjoy.